Y'all good? You got your blanket?
Yep, I got
You wrapped up?
I'm all
You ready for a story?
I feel like we're camping, except there's no fire.
And we're sitting in a room, and there's a couple computers.
That's not how I feel, though.
I never go camping. Well, I take that back. I have gone camping with my laptop before, but I usually don't. That click was really loud. Hey guys, we're back.
Oh shit. Hey.
It's part 2, guys. It's time for a fantasy story that I've written just for... Well, really, I write my stories for Phil.
Yeah.
And then you guys just get the pleasure of listening in on
Those
the
of you
story.
who actually do listen in, though. I mean, like, I notice, you know, we get our videos up each day, and then I see that we have 3 views on each of our videos, and I'm all like, I wonder who that other person is. And I'm like, you know, and I really like to think that it's the same person every time.
Yeah.
Because
That
there
we-
are exactly 3 views every single time. And if it was like a different person each time, then that's kind of like, well, they didn't come
Whatever,
back.
yeah.
But if there is one dedicated just person who just wants to listen to
So
us,
if you're out there somewhere,
I know who he is. No, I don't know who he is. I know he is there.
I want to pretend it's some mysterious person we don't know that's just out. And
What should we name
we
him?
stumbled upon it.
Let's name him
His name is Gordon.
Gordon
Baj-
Ted.
Okay.
Gordon Ted what? Baju?
I was going to say Reynolds, but okay.
Gordon Ted Reynolds.
If you're out there, Gordon Reynolds, this story's for you. Well, no, it's still not for you. It's for Phil. Phil, I don't have a title for my story.
That's fine, because I never have titles
But
for mine.
I'm
except
gonna
for last
half-ass
time.
one right
This
now. Trouble with
Tribbles.
castles, because there's a castle.
Oh, well, that's even better alliteration.
Yeah, it rhymes and everything. Okay, guys, fantasy story time. Here we go.
All right.
Do you really think this is a good idea, Blanc? Questioned the small goblin in a dark hallway. Hey, I told you to be quiet, replied a voice from behind a large ornate door. From outside, Pinto the Goblin could hear his friend scrambling around in the dark room behind him. Why steal from the king? It's way too risky, Pinto said half to himself. His nose was itchy, even though I wrote noise, apparently. His nose was itchy.
Well, I mean, he might be blowing his nose. It might be a little bit brass.
His nose was itchy, a telltale sign of his anxiety. Quickly, he reached up to relieve the irritants. I'm not stealing per se, whispered the elf as he was rummaging through the room. I'm one of the king's many, many subjects. It's his job to keep the masses happy, and I happen to find large bags of money very enjoyable.
Did you say the masses or them asses?
The masses.
Them asses
Them
happy.
asses. Gotta keep them asses happy.
Yep.
Just
Like that better.
Just do your job and be the lookout. This isn't a good idea, Pinto said under his breath. From down a corridor, Pinto could hear footsteps. He held his breath. In the dark hallway, he could barely make out 2 guards walking by on their patrol of the castle. Drops of sweat formed on his forehead. Thanks to his short stature, he knew that the guards wouldn't be able to see him from the other end of the hallway as long as he just stayed calm, still, and quiet. After what felt like an eternity, the two armed men passed by. Crash! Pinto went pale. That's actually a great sound effect.
Crash.
Crash! What was that? Called one of the guardsmen. Pinto could hear them from a few rooms down. Pinto opened the door he had been guarding to see Blanc in a pile of books and papers. Beside him, a toppled-over bookshelf. Pinto's elven friend was lying in the pile, coughing. Time's up, Blanc, he said to his partner. Blanc stood up, brushing off his pants. What are you talking about? Everyone's asleep. We're fine, Pinto, he said nonchalantly. Over here, yelled one of the rapidly approaching guards. Okay, we're not fine, Blanc said with a smirk. Even though Blanc had a calm attitude, Pinto knew that things were about to get rough.
Oh.
What are we gonna do, Blanc? Pinto asked. Run, obviously, Blanc said as he picked up a small bag of gold and trinkets he had collected throughout the night. As Blanc exited the room, he picked up the small goblin and held him under his arm, much like a football player would hold a ball.
Ah.
Pinto's hands and feet dangled as they ran.
Are elves short as well?
They are shorter than people, but they are not goblin stature.
Okay, so like people are just the tallest.
Yeah. An average elf's probably almost 5 feet tall.
Okay, so me.
Yeah. You're elf sized in my world.
Okay,
But
I'd be a kind of tall elf.
Goblins are like 2.5 feet at max. That's a tall goblin.
Okay. All right.
Okay. The two turned a corner to find approaching guards running toward them. Blanc, shocked, stood still momentarily. "Halt!" yelled the more burly guard. They were brandishing halberds. Halberds. I was mispronouncing it. Halberds. They were brandishing halberds, so Blanc knew his small dagger wouldn't be enough to fight his way out of the situation. "Over there! Over there!" yelled Pinto as he frantically pointed at an open window in the adjacent hallway. Blanc made a 90-degree turn to his left and began sprinting. The window led out onto the roof of one of the castle's many interior structures. The window was big enough for Blanc to make his exit, but the armored shoulders of the guards would be too wide. Blanc barreled out the window and sidestepped to the left. Hugging himself against the wall, he kept his eyes on the window. Panting, he stood still, hoping the guards either hadn't seen them make their exit or would give up pursuing them.
Oh, snap.
He felt a tugging on his shirt. Looking down, he saw the worried face of Pinto.
This is some thief class stuff in Skyrim. I'm seeing it vividly right now in my imagination. Mind imagination.
"This isn't good." From under Blanc's arm, Pinto pointed out toward the courtyard of the castle. The two looked out to see torches being lit in nearly every window. The commotion in the castle was growing. It's just a setback," Blanc said down to his friend. Pinto could see the elf's cool demeanor was starting to crack. "If we just stay in the shadows, we can slink out of here." Boom! Boom! Both Blanc and Pinto were startled by the sound of a large calling horn. All around... Yep, that's what they sound like, Phil. Bahoom! All around them, they could hear people yelling, "Intruders! There's thieves in the castle!" Pinto was trembling in Blanc's arms. His teeth were chattering and his nose was very itchy.
Wow.
I'm chattering too. I'm still cold. Sip of water. He started murmuring to himself. Blanc was only half listening as he was surveying the damage of their actions. Guards were filing out into the courtyard, and archers were beginning to encircle the walls of the castle. "Why are we thieves? My cousin Chauncey just got his minstrel license."
What was his name?
Chauncey.
Chauncey.
"Sure, his life isn't that glamorous or anything, but he makes his hovel payments on time. Food on the table, a shiny trinket here and there. That's all a goblin needs in life." "Being poor is boring," Blanc interjected, cutting off his friend's rant. He set the goblin on the ground. He placed a hand on Pinto's shoulder as he kneeled in front of him. "But being rich is awesome. I don't care how it happens, but I'm going to be rich." Blanc stood and turned his back to the goblin. The moon silhouetted his body. "I'll steal every single piece of gold in this kingdom if it means not being poor. And I'll be rich, or I'll die trying." I just ruined his big old victorious speech.
Oh, victorious, really?
Victorious, whatever. He's bolstering the troops.
Yeah, gotcha.
There was a silence between the two adventurers. "That's dumb. You're dumb," Pinto scoffed. The small goblin scrambled to the edge of the roof they were standing on. He surveyed the courtyard. 20, 30, 40, Pinto murmured while calculating in his head. He waved his finger around in the air as if he was using an abacus. After a few seconds, Pinto looked up toward Blanc. "I'm counting over 100 guards, and there's got to be at least 65 archers on that wall. There's no way we're getting out of here unnoticed." Blanc stood crossed-armed next to the goblin. "Well, not with that attitude, we're not." Blanc could see a sparkle in the elf's eye. He could see the excitement growing inside of Blanc. "Here's what we're going to do."
Oh, snap.
Blanc began tying the bag of gold to his belt. "First, I'm going to make sure this bag isn't going anywhere." He stared at Pinto and as he yanked hard on the knot. "Okay, now. Your stumpy little legs aren't great for escaping. So we need to..." Blanc swooped down and picked up Pinto. He lifted the goblin over his head and placed him on his shoulders. "I'll just put you up here."
Oh, okay.
This doesn't feel safe, Blanc," Pinto said from his shoulder perch. He held Blanc's pointed ears like the reins of a horse. It's adorable in my head.
Yep.
"It'll be fine. Just hold on tight." Pinto squeezed his hands into fists, crushing Blanc's ears in the process. "But not that tight!" howled Blanc in pain.
Oh, shit.
"Sorry, buddy."
Ow.
Blanc prepared himself for what was going to come next. He stretched his legs and arms. Doing little hops in place, the elf repeatedly clenched and released his fists. Finally, Blanc stopped his movement and dropped his head. With a sudden burst of energy, he yelled, "Hold on!" and began sprinting along the roof. The edge of the roof was rapidly approaching, and Pinto's nose was itching worse than it had all night. He resisted the urge to reach up and scratch it, and concentrated on holding on to Blanc. Reaching the edge of the roof, Blanc leapt. Time seemed to slow down as he reached his hands out toward a banner hanging on the adjacent castle wall. I'm getting excited. I can't.
Gotta drink some water. I didn't have to drink any Kool-Aid jam as well. I was just singing, reading.
Singing. Pinto closed his eyes as he awaited the inevitable meeting he was about to have with the ground. But the moment of impact never happened.
Oh, snap.
Slowly, the goblin opened his eyes. He let out a yelp as he realized that Blanc had made the jump. Blanc was hanging on the wall 30 feet in the air, holding on to the banner. A normal man, or even a normal elf, wouldn't have been able to make that far of a jump, but Blanc had always excelled in elven gym class.
Whoa.
His agility was unmatched.
Whoa.
His grip, on the other hand, was completely average. His fingers ached as he clenched the fabric of the banner. From their spot on the wall, Pinto could see the courtyard of the castle. He saw a few guards were walking towards the wall. The guards were pointing at the ground and talking amongst themselves. Hey, Blanc, what's next?" Pinto asked while still watching the guards. The 3 armored men were getting closer and closer to them. There was something on the ground that had sparked their interest. I haven't really gotten that far, Pinto." Blanc was frantically surveying his options. There was a window about 5 feet to the right, or 3 feet above the banner. Blanc was beginning to sweat profusely. Pinto continued watching the guards when he spotted what they had seen. Directly below their spot on the wall was a small canvas bag on the ground.
Oh, no.
Golden trinkets were spilling out of it. Pinto frantically snapped his head to look at Blanc's belt. Apparently, Blanc had not tied his spoils tight enough.
Ah.
That's not good, Pinto said as he audibly gulped. The goblin watched as the guards encircled the bag of gold. They were talking amongst themselves. After a few moments, one of the guards finally looked up to see an elf and a goblin hanging above them. "Thieves! I found the thieves!" the guard yelled as he began frantically pointing into the sky. The other guards finally looked up as well. Hey, Blanc, what's next?
He asks that a lot.
He's very, very anxious. Mm-hmm. "I'm working on it," he called out. There was no need to be quiet anymore. Blanc began shifting his weight back and forth, attempting to swing on the banner. Pinto's grip on his ears was growing tighter and tighter. With enough momentum, Blanc knew that he would be able to leap toward the window to his right. Pachink! An arrow struck the wall next to Blanc's head. Pachink! A second nearly struck his left hand. Within seconds, a barrage of arrows were flying towards them. Blanc was doing his best to dodge the onslaught, but inevitably, an arrow made its mark. The iron head of an arrow burrowed into Blanc's thigh. The piercing pain was the final straw. Immediately, Blanc lost his grip and the 2 thieves fell to the ground. Luckily, Pinto's fall was cushioned by Blanc's body. Unluckily, Blanc's fall was cushioned by the hard stone floor of the castle.
Ah.
Pinto quickly checked on his partner. Blanc was unconscious, but he wasn't dead. He was sure to have some bruises for a while. A crowd of guards were running toward the 2. They encircled the elf and the goblin. Pinto reached down and grabbed the dagger that was sheathed on Blanc's belt. The blade resembled that of a short sword in Pinto's hand. Pinto stood his ground, defending his friend. Back off! Back off! Pinto yelled in the most threatening voice he could muster. He waved the guard around menacingly. The guards replied with their halberds. The circle of guards aimed their weapons at the 2 thieves. Pinto dropped the dagger and raised his hands. "Or not, that's totally fine with me," he said, as he timidly looked at his feet. Mm-hmm. The sea of guards slightly parted to make room for the captain. A very large man approached the 2 thieves. His facial features were obscured by his dark steel helmet, but Pinto could see 2 piercing blue eyes.
Ah, it's horrifying.
Once the captain was at the center of the circle, he removed his helmet. His long locks of blonde hair shined in the moonlight. Captain Roland Stoneback had an intense air about him, and his military record was intimidating.
Roland Stoneback?
That's his name.
Is he a dwarf?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, he's just got a cool name.
Okay.
I was thinking, like...
Dwarfs always have, like... What was it?
Jewel, yeah, something like that.
Metal body part or something?
And when I was writing him, I was trying to find something that sounded cool, like he has been through wars and, you know, it doesn't take damage because he's got really hard skin or whatever.
Okay.
But, I don't know. Roland Stoneback sounded good enough.
Roland. Rolling Stones.
Looks like we caught our rats, Stoneback announced to his men. The circle of guards called out a victory cry in unison. This was a fun little game, but we're done playing. Pinto looked up to watch the captain snap his fingers. A guard brought a scroll to Stoneback. Pinto the Ankle Biter, wanted for crimes of trespassing and petty theft. He read from the scroll. Pinto stared at his feet again. From behind him he heard coughing. Blanc was beginning to stir. The elf slowly sat up, holding his leg. Oh, ouch! Blanc didn't even notice the sea of guardsmen around him. He was too busy surveying his bruised body. Hello, elf. Finally joining us? Stoneback questioned. Although his voice seemed light-hearted, his voice was as stern as always. After being handed a second scroll, Stoneback began to read it aloud. Julian Montblanc the Swindler. The captain peered at the elf momentarily before continuing the announcement. Wanted for crimes of theft, burglary, embezzlement, larceny, looting, robbery, shoplifting, fraud, and public nudity. Hey, Blanc interjected. That was only that one time. He finally stood up. His weight was situated on his left leg because his wounded right leg hurt too much. You two have been apprehended for your crimes and will be punished accordingly, Stoneback said with a sinister smile. He genuinely enjoyed his job. Yeah. A few guards stepped forward to handcuff the criminals.
Oh.
Is there anything you'd like to say before your punishment begins? Pinto looked up at Blanc, hoping that he had thought of somehow to get them out of their current situation. Blanc stood smiling. We didn't do it. It was dark in the bowels of the castle. There was only a small circle of light from a torch that a guard was carrying. The damp walls and thick air made the whole place feel like a dungeon, which it was. Pinto raised both his cuffed hands up to his face to scratch his nose. Yeah, that sentence, when I was like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever written.
I like it. I like it. Which it was. But, I'm guessing time skipped.
Yep.
Okay.
Cut to the bowels of the castle.
Okay.
So I tried to put that pause in there.
That was great.
Yeah. The damp wall makes you feel like you done with it. Pinto. I just had like yawn there when I said that.
Upper, yeah.
Pinto. Pinto raised both his cuffed hands up to his face to scratch his nose. Not paying attention to the ground, he stumbled on something hard. Looking down, he froze. A one-armed skeleton torso was on the floor at his feet. The goblin felt sick to his stomach, and his feet refused to take another step. After a few moments, a guard's boot placed squarely between his shoulder blades got him walking again. Pinto scrambled quickly to Blanc's side. Blanc chuckled as he looked down at his little friend. With a loud clank, a cell door was unlocked. It took 3 guards to push the sliding door open. Blanc and Pinto stood now in the open door of a jail cell. Blanc turned his head to look at a guard on his left. Whoa, swanky digs you got us in. Sure this isn't the king's bedroom? The elf's grinning face was met with only that of a cold scowl. The butt end of a halberd pushed Blanc into the cell, off his feet, and into a very cold puddle situated in the middle of the floor. His teeth clenched in pain due to his wounded leg. Pinto scurried into the cell without the need of any assistance from the guards. Standing by Blanc, the two watched as the massive door was once again closed and locked. The dungeon grew darker and darker as the guards, and the only torch, left. It took a few minutes for the prisoners to readjust their eyes to the darkness. It was silent in the dungeon, except for a cough or a sob somewhere out in the darkness.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Pinto, why don't you... Already on it, the goblin answered as he ran up to the door of the cell. He pushed his body against the bars of the cell, attempting to slip his small body through. He grunted and shoved his body, but it was no use. Even his tiny goblin body wasn't small enough to escape so easily. Defeated, Pinto slowly walked back to Blanc and plopped himself on the ground, sitting in the puddle next to his friend.
Aw.
Neither of them wanted
So
to be the
sad.
first one to break the silence. But eventually, Blanc spoke up. You know, if it's any consolation, Don't say it, said Pinto. Let's be honest. It's not your fault I'm here with you. I wanted to pinch some treasure too. The goblin looked up at his friend and half smiled. Blanc playfully punched Pinto's arm. Let's just stay positive. This is, at best, just a little setback. Pinto recognized the almost cocky sound in Blanc's voice. Do you have an escape plan? Pinto said excitedly. Blanc picked himself up off the ground and limped his way to the cell door. He firmly gripped the bars and began to pull. He used all his remaining energy to shove the door of the cell. Blanc pushed and pushed against the steel door. He huffed and wheezed as he strained against the metal. Exhausted, he let go of the bars. Well, that's all I've got. What's your plan? Pinto's hope of escape were dashed. From his spot on the wet floor, he stared at Blanc. The excitement he had felt moments earlier were replaced with annoyance and anger. I don't know how to get out of here, Blanc, he yelled at the elf. You don't, but I do, a voice sang out from the darkness.
What?
That's
Well,
it.
All right.
Somebody overheard them.
Okay. Well,
To be continued.
so, all right. All right. Well,
That's
I guess we'll
They're trapped.
continue that next time on.
Want to
our
hear
story.
more about Pinto the ankle biter? and
Yeah.
Julian Montblanc.
Whoa! Whoa!
You'll have to wait a few weeks and then you can hear the end.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. I feel you look tired.
I'm a little tired.
You a little
I'm
tired?
mostly cold.
I'm cold too.
Hey guys, if you like that story, maybe you should email us and tell us what you thought. We
What?
haven't got an email since August, so
It's been a long time.
I'm not trying to sound like a desperate girlfriend that you haven't been calling since 7 weeks ago.
It doesn't take that much energy. You can just pick up the phone, dial up,
Pick up your mouse keyboard.
log in. Where would they send that
Click-
email to, Phil?
Clickety clackety, send to ChatmenShow@gmail.com, and then we will get it, and we will definitely respond. Because what else are we gonna do? I mean, like seriously, just think about this for a moment. Think your only hobby in the world, the only thing that you do in your spare time when you're not working or sleeping, is doing the Chatman. And that's me and Truman's life. So.
Maybe your life.
It's a joke.
No? Very sad one.
Yes, but okay. But listen. So, don't be shy. Don't feel like, oh, we're gonna leave you out in the cold. No. We treat everyone who talks to us with utmost respect. And also, if you don't do this, we're gonna be very upset with you. And we're gonna stop. That's it. I don't even have anything else to say. I'm gonna just stop.
Yeah, if
messing.
you like the video, why don't you just like it or share it to say, hey,
Good job.
Jimmy Joms. I know that you like sci-fi and or fantasy and or stories. Take a listen to this. Just share it to him.
And
Hit us up on the Facebook page.
I know. What was his name? Gordon Reynolds?
Gordon Reynolds. Hey, buddy. Hope you like the story. I think that's all we've got.
That's it. That's pretty much
But,
it. Oh, yeah, we got a Facebook page as well. It's just
yeah.
facebook.com/ChatmenShow, was it?
It's all in the description. Just follow the links. I put links for you.
Here. Rah.
Said it in
It's a link from Legend of Zelda.
In this
That's a good
episode-
joke. That was a good joke. Hey, guys.
In this episode on
We-
no,
We win. I did it. Is there anything else you gotta say?
no, that's it.
Bye.
There's a lot of wind in this room.